It's live from New York, Thursday night, ModPo. Wow, we are a torn page. We are so grateful for the torn and the page lineages, both of them, that led us here. And this is an elaborate way of saying thank you to Leanne Brown, who's so far from the mic that she has to bring the mic closer to her, way closer, much closer.
Welcome, ModPo. Yay.
Hi, Leanne Brown.
Hi,
Is
Al,
anybody,
everyone.
there's snaps. Does anybody want to guess how many ModPo videos Leanne Brown is featured in? Plus, she's participating in a number, and she's also the topic of a number. What's the number? Anybody want to guess? 22. Not a bad guess.
Good guess. We're on 22nd Street.
Yes.
Number around.
What's the number, Leanne?
Is it 40?
It's now 41 if you include
Two.
this web.
42.
Oh, we didn't even include the webcasts.
Okay.
You've been in a lot of webcasts, so.
Okay.
Anyway, this is Leanne Brown, yay.
Yay.
And we have Lainey Brown, add the E, and they're not related. Yay,
Poetry
Lainey
sisters.
Brown. Hello.
Happy to be here.
Hello. Thank you
My
for
sister.
curating, coordinating, all of this. Every last bit of it.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank
She's
you.
got her beat beret.
And
I'm
Sophia
wearing my
DeRose, who did the Bernadette Mayer braids today.
Ah.
Yay. Not because Bernadette is part of week 6, although Bernadette can be in any week,
Right.
because she's like, she is ubiquitous, especially these later weeks. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all Bernadette weeks. But anyway, no, that was because we did a ModPo Plus video of a Bernadette poem, which was just spectacular, called the Introductory Lectures,
The
Introductory Lectures on
Poetry.
Poetry, not psychoanalysis, but poetry. So that, yes, Sophia DeRose, hello. How are you? And the shirt, you're rocking the shirt. What is it?
The shirt is a friend of mine is in a death metal band. This is his band,
Okay.
Octus.
Okay, you just wore that because in honor of
It's a
whatever,
fun
the
shirt.
the feeling. Okay, great. We also have Erica Kaufman, who is here, who is always so fabulous and is really stacking up those books in that office. You really got to start reading them and tossing them away, I think.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Erica. I mean, when we get to week 9, maybe we'll talk about that Joan Ritalik poem. Joan, who lives like down the street from you there, who tossed books out and preserved them by grabbing a line from the beginning and the end. Yay. And Kate Colby is here.
Hi.
Hi. And last week we all taught ourselves the word mansard. Is that how we pronounce it? Mansard?
Yes, but I don't have a mansard roof.
You don't, so it's totally irrelevant, but we learned the word. And Dave Poplar coming to us from Arizona, where he is actually probably not going to listen to any of the questions asked because he's paying too much attention to a baseball game.
I can multitask.
Okay, good. Would you also, to add another task, would you also please check
The forum, got it.
forum? There's a couple of questions there already. And Sophia, will you be the one checking the YouTube chat stream? Okay, we also have some people in the room here, and we're so pleased. And we have not quite, it's a quasi-portable mic. That is to say, it's a mic on a cord. It's not at all portable, but we would love it if the guests, the ModPo citizens who've joined us here would just get on the mic and tell us your name, and we'll, I might ask you a left field question.
My name is Emma Goldman Sherman.
The famous Emma Goldman Sherman, and I think Lainey was so excited that you were coming.
Yeah.
Because
nice to see you.
Emma
A couple
is a-
nights in a row.
Yeah,
Is a regular. Yay.
Thank you.
And so you're a New Yorker all the time, always, ever?
Not always ever. I was born in Philadelphia.
Where? What part?
Temple Hospital, Philadelphia, downtown.
So you were
Center
born-
City.
You were born in the Temple Hospital?
In the Temple Hospital.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were going to come and see us in Philadelphia?
I did.
Yeah.
That's right.
yeah.
Wait a minute. You did.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This is
one.
Good. Oh, this is great. All right. Thank you. That's great. All right. Pass to EB.
Hello, I'm E.B. Fouts-Palmer.
How are you, EB? This
Good.
is your second live engagement with.
It is, yes.
And how many years have you been in the course?
I think I started during the pandemic, so it must be 5.
5 years.
But
Yay.
I haven't been very good about it this year. But
Well, that's okay. Very good. It's really hard to know what being very good about being in ModPo is. I mean, there are 94,000 people enrolled. We have no idea what that means. That is 94,000 people intended to do something and enrolled in, of course, for free, and maybe stop being interested in the nearly daily messages that I send, maybe drift off. On the other hand, so many of those people enrolled years ago and check back with us occasionally. Some of them just come to the webcast. Some come to office hours and do nothing else. So it doesn't matter. And they, in a weird way, it's a black box. Coursera is a black box. They never tell us exactly what active means, but there's like 62,000 people who are supposedly active. I don't know what that means. Anyway, a lot of people, and you're one of them, and we always give super gifts for people who've made it through 5 years. But we forgot our gift today, but we'll make sure that the next time we see you, we'll give you a gift. Okay, great. All right, and now it's Lila.
Hi, I'm Lila Shermetta.
Hi.
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 And what do you know about ModPo?
I just graduated from. Is this on? Or-
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I just graduated from UPenn in May, and I took ModPo twice. I was the TA the second time in the
You were
classroom.
TA.
Yes.
And we have, I forgot to tell you that if you come back to Philly next year, ModPo TA also. Just thought to throw that in there. You're trying to get Lila to come back to Philly. And here we are in front of everybody negotiating. Okay.
I'm really glad
Anyway,
everyone's
good
hearing
to
this.
see
Yes,
you,
it's true.
Lila. Okay. And now,
I'm Wendy Schaffer. I live in New York, and I've done ModPo certainly more than 5 times. I did all of ModPo Plus before the pandemic.
you did all of ModPo
So
Plus?
whatever was there. So I would
Okay.
actually really request that when you do something in ModPo Plus, you get like a little check mark so you know you've done
I
it.
think
because
you've
you
actually
keep
made that.
adding,
Yeah, but we.
and I don't know what was added,
Okay.
so I'd have to do ModPo Plus again. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
my
Here's
first
what
year
we
was
can do
like,
better.
What was your first ModPo year?
2012.
Then that was probably my first year. Yeah. Yeah. I did it at least 5 times
Wendy?
before
That is
the pandemic.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wendy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Love
do we
it.
have,
Love
what
it.
do we have?
Everyone
We have a,
should do ModPo. No. The gift
we have
is
to have
ModPo.
gifts.
I don't need
The
a
gift is ModPo.
The gift is
Oh,
ModPo.
Wendy,
The gift
thank
is
you
poetry.
so much. Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, you're passing it over to Sharon.
Sharon Silber, and I live in New York. And I did ModPo for the first time during the pandemic, and I would say this is kind of my 3rd time through.
Great.
perhaps.
Wonderful. Will you hold on to the mic because we might want to get everybody involved. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to go around. Oh, also, are you ready to take a phone call? Because I don't have to do that to you. We can do it. No, we've got plenty of voices here. We don't need to take phone calls. Here we are negotiating on the air. and
But they want
there
to
are
talk to
people-
Chris.
Yeah, they called to talk to
Yeah,
Chris.
so it's Chris's
All right, I'll tell you
call.
what, people out there in Thailand and Tanzania and San Francisco, if you can figure out what the phone number is from last week, you can call. But otherwise, we're not flashing the phone because we got a lot of people here. Oh, so sorry, but that's where we're going to be. Okay, so everybody is going to get a chance to say a favorite poem from Beat Week. Okay, so I'm just gonna call people. And if you guys want to skip because you haven't been thinking about the beats, that's fine. Any poem from the main syllabus or ModPo Plus you want to put. And so Sophia is going to put the name of the poem on a slip of paper and put it in the mug, and a heart mug, and then we'll pick it out and we'll talk about those poems. That has worked out really, really well. Okay, all right. Let us start with Sharon, followed by Erica. You have to, get the mic. Okay.
either Kerouac, any of the spontaneous prose, because I'm just interested in that, or
Mhm.
any of the women.
Oh, that's very open-ended. Can we just go with the spontaneous prose? Okay, there'll be no dearth of women poets suggested, so that's Sharon. Erica is up and Dave Poplar's on deck.
And Jane Cortez.
For
each of them, those are the women.
I always
Oh,
want to
man.
say Anne Waldman Rogue State, but I also feel like maybe one of the Jerry Rothenberg poems.
Okay, so, gee, guys, we'll allow two, but let's try to limit ourselves to one because there's just a lot of slips of paper. And of course, the chances that the one you want will get picked go down when there's a lot. Okay, so we've got those two, and now we're going to go to Dave Poplar with Kate on deck.
Jail Poems by Bob Kaufman.
Kaufman jail poems, and if we do pick jail poems, then you, Dave, get to pick which one we can talk about, because we've talked about them a lot, and they're wonderful. They're amazing. Okay, did I put somebody on deck? Kate's on deck, and Lila is after that. Or Kate's up, and Lila's on deck.
I never pick Kerouac, but I'm feeling Kerouac this week.
What particular Kerouac are you interested in?
Belief and Technique for Modern Prose.
Okay, great.
I appreciate it as kind of a list poem.
It is a list poem, yeah. Okay, Lila needs a mic.
I need help because I can't remember the name of this poem, but it's the one where he's driving in the car.
I know.
I know a man.
I know, man.
Robert Creeley, I Know a Man.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm always talking. John, I said, which was not his name.
Yeah.
The darkness surrounds us. Okay. So you're just going to do two votes for that. So two slips are going in. Sophia is up. Leanne Brown is on deck.
Howl.
Howl. Okay. Allen Ginsberg, Howl. You knew Ginsberg. Say something about Ginsberg.
He was really amazing about just writing every day, writing during everything. And this is a shout out to my students in Queens, who hopefully some of them are watching this live. We were talking about Whitman and the relation to Ginsberg's Howl, and the long line and the breath.
Great. Leanne students, lucky, lucky people. Okay, we are going to go to Lainey, and then Emma will be on deck.
I want to do something that is against all the rules and suggest a Jane Cortez poem that is not yet here, and just ballyhoo that she has this new amazing book called Fire Spitter, and maybe Emma will say something because we were both at the launch last night. So we will get some more Jane Cortez in the course, but for tonight, I just brought some really tiny poems because we could photograph it and stick it in the chat. So, Imperial Highway. What you think can put you in jail. What you say may be used against you. Whatever you do to protect yourself will be seen as a strike against the Patriot Act, which will strike you down for being patriotic to yourself.
Want to do another one?
Yeah.
Do them all.
Okay, well, we could take
We'll
turns.
do one more because then if Jane gets picked, we'll do more.
Okay. The tiger. The tiger expresses its tigritude every time it pisses, roars, and takes a big bite.
Okay. So the name of the book, posthumous, is Fire Spitter
From Night Boat Books.
from Nightboat, and it was celebrated last night. And
Yes, and
At
you
the
can
Poetry
you
Project.
can watch a stream of it, and there were some luminary performances by some ModPo people, including Anne Waldman and Tracy Morris and Fred Moten. It's great.
thanks for ballyhooing that. Now everybody has to use the word ballyhoo as a verb.
Ballyhoo.
Ballyhoo. Okay. I've lost track of what we're doing, so I would like EB to go next. Can we get a mic? Oh, no, I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, Emma and then EB.
So on the coattails of Lainey, last night was amazing. I mean, you have to watch whatever YouTube, whatever stream like that was filmed, it was so tremendous. I have chills just thinking about how great it was.
Mm.
And DiNardo played, and DiNardo is
Did he
taking
play the
this
drums?
on the road. Yeah, the band, the Fire Spitters, the whole band was there, and they did an amazing, unrehearsed job of having the people who performed the poems with the band. I mean, a la Jane Cortez, it was, her spirit was right there in the room with all of us, and it was really tremendous. So I have to go with Lainey's, and I would also like to vote for Soweto by Jane Cortez, which was said a
That is
couple
it, yeah.
times last night.
Amazing.
And that should be in the syllabus.
Okay. Well, so we've got a second slip of paper for Jane, thus doubling the chances that we will pick Jane. But in addition, Emma, can I just propose that in the spring sometime, when we catch a breath, that you tell us when you're coming to Philly, and you can join us for a conversation about Jane Cortez in the studio for
That's a
Mod
great
Plus.
idea. Yeah.
Shall we do it? Sure. Okay. Yay, things happen. Okay, EB is up, and Wendy, if Wendy won, well, and Wendy's already voted, so, okay, good. So EB,
So
And
I was going to go
Sophia.
for She Got, He Got, which I guess we're continuing on
okay,
the theme.
so a third vote for Jane Cortez. The odds are mounting. Sophia DeRose, did you
skipped
vote
me.
yet?
No, you skipped me.
Did I skip you?
Well, you put me on deck and then
And
never
then
came back.
okay, yeah. never
But I
came-
was gonna
never
say I
came
know
back.
a man as well. So
I know a man. Okay. All right, here we go. Shake 'em up. And we are going to spend the rest of our time talking about whatever poems come out of here, because we are into gamification and randomization.
do you want to select?
In the spirit of week 9, we gamify everything.
Howl!
Howl has been chosen. Okay.
Okay.
Guess what? You need to find Howl on the syllabus so we can listen to a little bit of Ginsberg. Can you do it? Can you get there? How fast can you get there?
The
you'll-
1956 one.
Welcome
yeah,
to listen.
1956. And turn the mic toward your little computer. Here we go. Here's some Howl. Louder.
I want to invite our guests to come inside and join us. Please, take a seat, make yourself comfortable. Yeah, come on in.
Okay, whatever you want.
Okay.
Howl for Carl Solomon.
Louder.
I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked, dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn looking for an angry fix. Angel-headed hipsters, burning for the ancient, shuddering connection to the starry dynamo in the machinery of night, who poverty and tattered and hollow-eyed and high sat up smoking in the supernatural darkness of cold water flats floating across the tops of cities contemplating jazz, who bared their brains to heaven under the L and saw Mohammedan angels staggering on tenement roofs illuminated, who passed through universities with radiant, cool eyes hallucinating Arkansas
Okay,
and Blake
that was
Light
just
tragedy.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, so we are going to ask a few people just to comment in any way briefly about this. So we're going to start with Leanne, whose suggestion it was, followed by Erica, followed by Wendy. How about the three of you get us started? Say anything you want, Leanne.
Well, this recording we just heard seems early on, so it reminds me of maybe it's the gallery, was it Gallery 6, the famous, reading where that was banned and landed them in court, which was the big anniversary of it, 50-year anniversary. It was just 2 nights ago, when that famous reading happened in North Beach. And
I think it's called the Sixth Gallery.
Sixth Gallery,
Yeah.
thank you. And it just the way that he sounded there seemed so early, and like he later got a lot more demonstrative.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, terrific. Thank you. We're going to go to Erica for some thoughts about Howl.
When I think about Hal, I just think about how important, the line length is, and how he does something truly incredible with stringing together these kind of portrait vignette-less words that culminate in this overarching portrait that begins to appear.
Wonderful. And Wendy, do you have a mic? EB's got the mic for you.
Now I have a mic. Well, I didn't have it in front of me, so I was just listening. And what really came across is how he reads it, or at least for me. It's sort of this intense monotone, and it means that words like contemplate and jazz really rung as sort of rhythmic. So yeah.
Great. I think a lot of people think that Ginsberg just riffed it and it came out, but if you see the manuscript, you realize that he made constant corrections. He thought about the sound of it. I'll just read one of the long lines to give you a sense of the sound. Who chained themselves to subways for the endless ride from Battery to Holy Bronx on Benzedrine. You've got the alliteration there. Battery to Holy Bronx on Benzedrine until the noise of wheels and children brought them down, shuddering, mouth racked and battered, bleak of brain, all drained of brilliance in the drear light of zoo. So just listen to that. Mouth racked and battered, bleak of brain, all drained, internal rhyme, and alliteration of brilliance in the drear light of zoo. That is just, anybody who said, as some people did, this isn't really poetry, they were absolutely nuts, because it's absolutely in the poetic tradition. Okay, let us choose another slip of paper from the mug, because we're moving along.
Me? Oh. Diane de Prima. I didn't know she was in there.
Diane de Prima was not in there.
Well, when somebody said all the women,
Lainey started writing all the women.
and you said we're not going to do that. I said no, we are going to do that. Well, you did.
And I want to change to Jane Cortez.
Okay.
Okay.
I did write women and scratched it out and put Diane de Prima. So.
Okay.
Okay, Jane Cortez.
Okay.
Jane Cortez. Which do you want to say? Which Jane Cortez? Do you want the one in the course?
I think Soweto, you said that. I don't
Oh.
know it, but I love
It's long. I mean, it's amazing, but it's a little long.
Hal.
do he got, she got. I love that.
Well, we
You
took a
want-
little passage from Hal. Do you want to do a little passage from
Yeah,
Soweto?
Hal's long.
Sure. We have to find it.
Okay.
Online.
Okay. I'm going to ask Kate and Sophia and Lila to respond to this passage from the poem.
If I can find it.
I can't find. I can only find a performance. It might only be here.
Here it is.
Let's see if we can.
Oh, that's in Italian. No,
Oh,
that's
here it
right.
is.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay.
It's long, so we have to choose.
Read a part. Read the beginning.
Do you want to?
Oh. For the brave young students in Soweto. Soweto, when I hear your name, I think about you, like the 5th Ward in Houston, Texas, one roof of crushed oil drums on the other, 2 black hunters in buckets of blood, walking into the fires of Sharpeville, into the sweat and stink of gold mines, into your children's eyes, suffering from malnutrition, while pellets of uranium are loaded into boats. And there's an amazing part where she says, at the end, she says, in the Revelation, that it won't be long now before everything in this world changes, which is so apt for now. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Sophia, Kate, and Lila to respond in any way they like. Let's make sure everybody understands what Soweto is. It's a contraction of Southwest Township during the apartheid era in South Africa, and a place of tremendous privation and poverty and discrimination. Okay, Sophia.
I haven't read this before, actually. And what strikes me first is just listening to Leanne read, like, the strength of the sound, how, like, crushing it is, which I think matches the emotion behind the language. Also, reading it on the page, I'm not sure if it's just, like, this iteration of it, but the I of the poem, when I hear your name, it's a diminutive I, so it's not capitalized. And so that suggests to me some sort of like distancing of the point of view of the narrator, and maybe like a stepping back and like decentering of the narrator in response to like the gravity of the situation that's being discussed. That's my first thought.
Thank you. Kate Colby, thoughts?
Well, I don't have the poem, but both while I was listening to this and to Howl, I was thinking I could use more impassioned rant and litany in our time, that we're all always ranting and issuing litanies at the TV screen, but this kind of exhaustive long line, well, I don't think there are long lines in this case, but in the case of Howl, it just this impassioned poetry really suits what's going on.
And through the title, it's we get a duplication of my sound. And through the title, it is encouraging the young students of Soweto, essentially to cry out, to call out. So it's trying to enact what Kate is describing. Thank you. And Lila, do you have a mic? Yep.
Yeah, I've also never read this poem before, but I have to agree with what Sophia was saying about like the distancing of the I, and it was making me think the similarity between this and Howl is like really listening to the noises of a place, just like kind of collecting all of the sound. And I don't know much about Soweto, but I also know that a lot of people generalize places and they decide they'll never go there ever. And those kind of people, they don't listen to the sounds that those places are making, and that the people there hear every day. And so I thought that I really enjoyed how she like took a step back from herself to just bring forward what the students hear. Yeah.
And presumably, this poem is collected in the new volume.
It is. I'm just remembering too, when I was trying to find the poem, there is her performing it. You can find the video of it. Like we could try to play that, a little bit of it, because her voice is amazing, but also people could go and find it. And the impassioned rant that Kate is talking about is really powerful in her voice. It was performed twice last night, actually. First, one of the guests read it, and then the program ended with the showing of this black and white video of her performing the piece.
Great. Okay, so let's get another poem from the mug, but before we do that, let's see what folks are saying in the stream, comments. And Dave, I'll ask you to pick a question from the thread, too.
The comment started with some compliments to Lainey's beret.
Thanks, all.
A lot of people
Beat Week
saying,
beret.
It's Beat Week.
Yeah, a lot of folks saying hi to Leanne, and excited that Leanne is joining us. We had some shout outs to Emma. They noticed you in the crowd. Yeah, it's just
Emma's
folks
got her
chattering
fans.
and saying hi and
Okay,
talking with each other.
great. Dave, you want to pick out a question? There were some pretty good ones in there in that thread when I saw it this afternoon.
Yeah, do you want me to read Suzanne Miller's comment that you pointed out earlier?
Yeah, that's fine. I think what she said is really interesting.
Yeah, me too. She said, are the Beats the anti-Steinians? I know that Stein was involved with automatic writing, but reading work like Tender Buttons, one is struck by deliberate word choice and condensation to essences. Some of her other pieces in Mod Poet use repetitions rather than condensation, but again, through the format may veer away from traditional linear narration. Her work is clearly not the result of babble flow or the techniques described by Kerouac on spontaneous prose.
Such a great question, because it's like a Maud Povian question. Like, where does, where do the beats fit in relation to Stein? You would think that they're tremendously influenced, but really not directly. So people who think about Stein a lot, Erica, Leanne, just a first take on that, is there a lineage that we can draw from Stein to the beats?
Well, Anne Waldman is a great Stein scholar. That's one way I came to Stein, was her talking about the relation of that spontaneous prose with her stream of consciousness writing. And I think, and Ginsberg actually asked me about experimental poetry. He asked me to like explain it to him, and I don't know how good I was at it, but I thought it was really funny because he would always say everything should be really clear and really, that's his doctrine, you know. But it was like, what about Wichita Vortex Sutra? I mean, those three words really bump up against each other in this very languagey kind of experimental way, you know.
Classic Ginsberg move in conversation to say, tell me about experimental writing, as if somehow he needed to be taught.
He wanted to know about Ashbery. He didn't understand. Ashbery.
No, exactly. That's the gist of Suzanne's question is, do the beats, some of them do, follow through on I don't need the intricacies of poetic literary history or of modernism. I want to do my stuff. But that breaks down after a while because you realize the relationships are complicated and good. Erica, what's your thought on this? Stein in the beats?
I mean, I think I was thinking specifically about Anne Waldman also, but I think that generally Stein introduces something to us about the way that language sounds and really paying attention, as Leanne was saying, to how the words are bumping up against each other. And to thinking very carefully about repetition in a way that's different from somebody like Whitman. And this is what my office hours tomorrow will focus on. So I'll ballyhoo that.
Can I add something
Yes, Lainey,
briefly?
please.
I feel like Clark Coolidge is a good person to think about in relation to connecting Stein to the beats.
Definitely. Oh, such a great suggestion, Lainey. And the Coolidge we have around week 6 will really take you there. You know, I guess the first reaction you have in thinking about, let's say, Anne Waldman in relation to Gertrude Stein is that, Anne is very open about the wild, witchy qualities of the poet's personality, and Gertrude was not overtly. You're not going to go to her salon and get a wild, witchy presence. And that kind of cliche about Stein misunderstands the relationship between people like Waldman and Stein. Okay, so for this next, so we're going to pick a poem, and I'd like Dave and Lainey and Sharon to talk.
But Stein certainly liked to be the center of attention. I mean...
She sure did.
She liked to be the shaman,
sure did.
In a way.
Yes, no, you're
the
totally right.
Solana shaman.
Yeah.
Leanne picked Essentials of Spontaneous Prose, by the way.
Okay, that's great. Does anybody want to bring it up and read a couple of them? Let's have a kind of a group reading. Everybody pull up that Essentials of Spontaneous Prose. Kate, it was your suggestion, right? So would you be, yes? So would you be, so it'll be Dave Poplar, Lainey Brown, Kate, and Sharon, 4 people responding to this. But before we get that, anybody just shout out some items on the list. Go ahead, just put it into the microphone.
Set up. The object is set before the mind, either in reality, as in sketching, before a landscape or teacup or old face, or is set in the memory, wherein it becomes the sketching from memory of a definite image object.
Procedure, time being of the essence in the purity of speech, sketching language's undisturbed flow from the mind of personal, secret, ideal words, blowing as per jazz musician on subject of image.
Do another one?
Oh. Method. No period separating sentence structures already arbitrarily riddled by false colons and timid, usually needless.
I think I want to read either all or part of scoping, which is a little out there. Not selectivity of expression, but following free deviation, association of mind into limitless blow-on subject seas of thought, swimming in a sea of English with no discipline other than rhythms of rhetorical exhalation and expostulated statement, like a fist coming down on a table with each complete utterance. Bang! Bang! The space dash. Blow as deep as you want, write as deeply, fish as far down as you want. Satisfy yourself first, then reader cannot fail to receive telepathic shock and meaning excitement by same laws operating in his own human mind. Okay, So we're going to start with Kate. Hi, Kate. Oh, we lost Kate to technical problems, so we're going to go to Dave Poplar. Respond to Kerouac.
I like the section titled Lag in Procedure. No pause to think of proper word, but the infantile pileup of scatological buildup words till satisfaction is gained, which will turn out to be a great appending rhythm to a thought and be in accordance with great law of timing.
What's all that about?
Well, first off, I think it's really interesting to refer to great law in such a grandiose way in the same breath as scatological. But it really is, to me, like oral writing, like an exercise, like getting your thoughts out on paper. Like Hemingway said, the first draft of anything is shit. And it's almost like reveling in that and getting it out there.
Kerouac saying, let's go shit. Go, go, go. Really? I mean, it's against constipation, to keep to the metaphor, right? It's against the idea of not just doing it. No, that's what he's saying. What are you laughing at? That's what he's saying.
Gesture, that was funny.
The gesture. Okay, good. All right. Lainey.
I want to talk about scope.
Yeah.
Scoping and the phrase free-flowing deviation, association of mind. I mean, first of all, I love how a lot of this prose reads like a prose poem in itself. It's so dense and there's so much there, so there's a lot of different ways we could read it. But the free-flowing deviation seems directly connected. It's a nicer way of saying what we just said about, bodily function. So
right.
It's
right.
It reminds me of Ginsberg's best thought. So even though he revised the generative principle to just go, do not restrict your thoughts. The word free writing, which came later. I don't know what's happening to my speech right now. It's free.
You're just rolling
I'm
along
all in
with it,
favor
right?
with the
Constipation at all.
free deviation association. I feel like it's a great tool for writers, especially those of us who are too self-critical, too in our heads, too intellectual. A lot of people, including me.
I mean, the ModPo has ebbed and flowed in its appreciation or not appreciation of Jack Kerouac being so present in week 6. I just want to say that I wish he hadn't written the novels.
Did you just say that?
Yeah, I didn't really say.
You said it
I've
in
read a
this
bunch
house?
of the novels. I don't think.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
It's okay. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's a thought experiment.
What do you want him to
Leanne,
have
before you boot me out
Tony loves
of
it.
Torn Page. Sorry, Tony.
It's okay.
This is it's an exaggeration, but what I'm saying, because I've read the novels and I appreciate the novels, but if he hadn't written the novels and had just done this incredibly experimental prose poetry, right? Like the ones where he's just listening to the sound on the street and he writes it down.
You're saying you much prefer the
That's what I'm saying.
complex.
And if he'd only had the reputation of being one of these weird poets who's doing this experimental stuff, he would be that much more warmly invited into the canon of experimental poetry. We have his alcoholism, which led to bad behavior, to say the least. We had his right-wingism that happened toward the end of his life. We had all the problems that he kind of carried around with him. He brought a lot of the other beats down. And he was really a destructive force ultimately as a personality among the Beats. If he had been the poet of some of those remarkable poems.
And yet what brought him so much fame, like whether or not we aesthetically, I just want to add that if you do want to read a Beat novel that's really great, read Diane DePrima's Memoirs of a Beatnik.
You got your DePrima in, yay. Kate Colby was gone and back, and people come and go so quickly in this computer world of ours. You missed what we said about Kerouac, but whatever. Would you say something?
I'm so sorry. I've been having technical difficulties. Are we talking about
Essentials of spontaneous prose, yeah.
I just appreciate his youthful exuberance and bravado and faith in process and like true experimental spirit. No doubt, no questions,
Right.
just barreling forth with his ideas.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Kate. Okay, I think, Lainey Brown, this would be a perfect time, before we pick another poem from the mug, for you to pose a question that puts Creeley and John Wieners in relation.
That's right. So if you are wanting to pull up the poems are I Know a Man, which is in the cup, and 2 years later by John Wieners, which is in Mod Po Plus. So while you find those, I'll say the question, then I'll say it again. We can read the poems. But basically the idea is that last year, spontaneously, I can't remember whose idea it was, maybe Dave, we talked about two poems in relationship to each other in a way that was kind of a new thing. So I thought, why don't we do that in the webcast as well? So these two poems, the question is just, let's talk about these two poems in relation. So we don't have a recording of the John Wieners, but we have many recordings of the Creeley.
Yep.
If we want to pull one up.
Well, do we want to listen? Sophia, you have to turn your mic.
Sophia already has it.
You have to turn your mic around.
Yeah. I have it somewhere.
Oh, wait, and who are we going to ask to comment, Al?
Well, I think Sharon needs to start because we didn't
Okay.
give her a chance to talk about that last item.
And who
And
else?
then you choose. I think everybody's more or less had a chance. So why don't you just pick a few
There was
folks?
somebody else who just walked in the room that I don't see. Oh, there. Do we know your name?
Yes, it's Shoshana Greenberg.
Shoshana.
Hi,
do you
Shoshana.
wanna
Okay,
comment?
Shoshana, are you ready to jump right in? So we'll ask.
Well,
It's in Mappa Plus, but we're going to read it
we'll
aloud.
read it. It's really short. You can go
Okay.
last. Okay. So we'll have Sharon, Shoshana,
Yep.
Sophia, and Leanne. Is that okay?
Sophia and Leanne.
Okay. Okay, here we go to hear Creeley.
One otherwise. I know a man. As I said to my friend, because I am always talking, John, I said, which was not his name. The darkness surrounds us. What can we do against it, or else shall we end? Why not buy a goddamn big car? Drive, he said, for Christ's sake, look out where you're going.
Harvard laughter. I'll try 2 years later. You ready?
And before you do that, I just want to also invite everyone on the YouTube to, also chime in, and we can
About the
share
two
some
poems. Good.
share some of your thoughts.
Okay, here's John Wieners 2 years later. The hollow eyes of shock remain, electric sockets burnt out in the skull. The beauty of men never disappears, but drives a blue car through the stars.
Can you read it one more time? One more time.
Yeah, 2 years later. This is 2 years after shock treatment for Wieners. The hollow eyes of shock remain, electric sockets burnt out in the skull. The beauty of men never disappears, but drives a blue car through the stars. Yikes.
All right. Can I ask you first, Sophia? What are your thoughts on these two poems together?
Okay. So part of what I find interesting and open about Robert Creeley's I Know a Man is the ambiguity both of destination and the partner. We're told his name is John, but that's not his name. We're also told it's not his name. So there's an intense ambiguity. and an importance of someone just like being there with the narrator. It doesn't matter what his name is. It's just that someone is there to listen to me talk. And we also don't know where the car is driving. Like you're just like going somewhere, and you got to look out for where you're going because you're still actually driving, even though you're talking to. And I feel like if I read 2 years later and put them in conversation together, I kind of like this idea that 2 years later could be answering the question of the destination. Like the car is just driving through the stars. Yeah. That's how I'm reading it right now.
That's a dark and amazing reading. I like that you're pointing to there's ambiguity and then there's more ambiguity because we don't know what it's like driving through the stars. Okay, let's go to Sharon.
Well, what I was going to say about Kerouac, I think is relevant to these two as well. I was really struck by the connection. I was going to talk about the first rule, which was use an image. I was really taken with the connection between Ginsberg and William Carlos Williams, and how basically William Carlos Williams said, stick with images. And Ginsberg brought Kerouac to meet William Carlos Williams. And here's Kerouac saying, stick with images. And here we have poems, and use your own language. And here we have two poems that are using very ordinary conversational language to make, I think, very deep observations about the world and relationship, so that commitment to the American vernacular, I think, runs through all of these.
Amazing. Yeah, the register of the language in both is really connected, and listening to you talk, it's also reminding me that they are also very brief, but that doesn't limit the depth in the pieces. So
No ideas, but in things.
Can I have a quick technical note? We have our friend Zach on the YouTube chat chiming in. And he's instructing our folks in the audience to hold the mic a little closer when you're speaking.
Straight on.
Can we just have some snaps for Zach Gardner, who's not here tonight? Hey, Zach, you're there. Wait, Zach is doing this instead of watching the Phillies?
Oh, he's probably doing both.
Probably doing both, okay.
Leanne?
Well, I mean, the other image thing in the poems are the man. I mean, like, the beauty of men never disappears. I mean, of course, we know John Wiener's a great queer poet, and it has that cosmic last line about drives a blue car through the stars. Like, even though he's had this shock treatment, he's
still in love.
Yeah, it's like, almost like that, aversion therapy, like trying to like get him not to think that men are the most beautiful things. I mean, like,
yeah, they were trying, in a way, they were trying to get that out of him with the shock treatment,
and
right?
he's like, yeah, that this and that cosmic echo of Creeley's very homosocial. He's not homosexual, but he has this very male bonding kind of thing with this John person in the car. But it goes into this, Christ's sake, look out where you're going, into this. It's like into the darkness. So it's like. Mm-hmm. They're both in this, they go from the everyday image to this very cosmic kind of space, of blue stars and blue car through the stars. I mean, yeah, but it's about love. They're both love poems.
They are love poems. Wow.
What?
Lainey, you did it. You put these poems together.
A little
and
bit
we
more about how
realized.
they're love poems, because that's so amazing.
Because John Wiener's is, after this hollow eyes of a shock treatment, shock remain. Uh-huh. Electric sockets burnt out in the skull. Even though he's been through this, the beauty of men never disappears. He loves men. He's queerly loves men in his leopard's pillbox hat. And like,
and
John.
How is
It's
it
about
really
seeing the eyes cannot be untrained to see the beauty in men. He's going to see them no matter what. They can't just,
And how is it really a love poem?
Because he's in love with John. I said he was homosocial. He's bonded with this man, this companion in the car, and together on their
Yeah.
quest, their voyage. They're going into the
Fly
darkness
me
together.
to the moon.
Yeah, like,
you know, it's that kind of
Yeah.
lovey thing. Or,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Ralph Cramden saying to Alice,
Yeah.
Alice, to the moon.
Yeah, he's not alone. Like, he's with somebody. Like, that's love, going on that journey into the darkness. We
you
don't know
made
where we're
something
going.
happen.
I
Lainey
love
Brown.
it, Leanne. I would never would have thought of that. Amazing. Okay, let's go to Sharon.
I think Shoshana.
Sorry.
Shoshana.
Shoshana. SSH. Sorry about that.
No worries. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think what struck me hearing both these poems was obviously the car, because the car is in both, but just how that's like the only object in each one. And I was thinking about, I guess, like about the poems in terms of space and objects in space, and like most of the poem is mostly just space, and like it's just empty space and moving through space, or empty eyes, burnt out. But in both of them, there's just this big car, or this blue car that like takes over everything. And yeah, just how it's like the only object in each poem.
That's great. I was also fixated on the car in both, and this idea of driving, not only a car, but just driving, like a driving force. How do we deal with the darkness? In the Creeley poem, it's named, and in the Wiener's poem, we don't have the word darkness, but it's the darkness. It's the same thing, and there's this image of a car. Like, what's our vehicle? How do we go forward? I'm curious about the chat. Do we have some people commenting on the two poems?
Well, Vijaya just wrote in the chat that both the cars are going out at night, but the darkness on the road is a bit oppressive, and the blue car is in a starlit night. We still have some folks actually talking about repetition in Stein, carrying over from our previous conversation. And Suzanne wrote, sockets also make me think of headlights, which is a play on words in and of itself.
That's great. Thank you all.
Thank you, Lainey. That was brilliant putting together of two poems. And thank you, Leanne, for realizing they're love poems. Bob Creeley, In Love with John. I love it. Maybe they're just going off and living happily ever after. Yeah.
It's just like Leanne and I walking around Chelsea today.
But yeah, and John Wiener's is not the John that's not John, but that's, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's John.
Wow.
Oh,
They both
I
got
love
John
it.
in it.
John,
Yeah,
which was definitely his name. Okay, let's get another poem from the cup. And I'm going to ask Erica and Dave and Lila again to comment on whatever it is.
We got two, I Know a Man, and then new Jane Cortez poem from Fire Spitter.
Okay. Do you want to do one more of the Jane Cortez?
Sure. So
okay, but
my
nope, we
technical
don't have access to it. So
solution is that Sophia has her phone right here, and she wanted to talk about the Anteater poem. So, or you could photo. Okay, here it is. I'll read it while you're typing it. The Anteater. The anteater saw itself in the mirror and consumed 50 billion termites in one slurp. The anteater saw itself in the mirror and consumed 50 billion termites in one slurp. And the line breaks, if you're in the room and you can't see the chat, are after anteater. The anteater break, saw itself in the mirror, break, and consume 50 billion termites in one slurp.
Okay, well, the people watching the YouTube can see that.
I mean, the
people
people
were
in the
asking
room.
to comment don't have access to it. So, Erica, did you hear that poem?
What is that?
Yeah, that's going to be hard. Let's see how close
They
we
did
can
it.
get.
Look on the screen. They totally got it. And they can also see the tiger. But
Can you see that, Erica?
I want to know what Sophia says first, because she was interested in anteaters. That's why I picked it.
No, I just weirdly like had an obsession with anteaters when I was a child. I had like pictures of them taped on the walls of my room. I don't know why, honestly. I just thought they were interesting. I liked that they were like just kind of like an animal that looked like no other animal to me. I like how the anteater is looking at itself in the mirror in this poem and kind of like doing a thing that I feel like we're not socialized to do, which is look at yourself in the mirror and then decide to consume abundantly. I love that. Yeah.
Erica, did you catch up with this? Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, it's such an interesting super short poem because it actually does quite a bit in the tiny 3 lines. It feels almost like a haiku in the way that things change in that last line. So you get the anteater saw itself in the mirror and consumed 50 billion termites in 1 square foot. So that turning to me is really interesting, and the decision to have it be 3 lines feels really intentional and kind of haiku-like, although it doesn't really follow any of the other haiku conventions.
Let's go to Emma and then to Dave Poplar, and then we'll pick another poem.
I just really wanted to appreciate the very long line because that reminds me of those 50 billion that are being consumed.
Oh, that's great.
And
Yeah.
the length of like the snout or the tongue that is doing that consuming, and maybe even in the mirror. So yeah, it's like a mirror of the consumption being very elongated.
Cool. Dave, thoughts?
It takes me a while to think about poems, so it's really difficult when poems are just sprung on me.
Yeah, it's understood, Dave.
But I'm just saying that because I think I may not be unique, and I think there may be students trying to follow along, and it's even harder when the text isn't even available on the site. But
Yeah.
From what I gather from the poem, the only thing that strikes me initially right now is 50 billion is a funny number because it's not really a precise number. It's really like hyperbole. It's like what kids say when you're trying to exaggerate something. So I think that's funny, and somehow that seems incongruous with what's going on in the first half of the poem, but I'm not quite sure yet if that's the case or what it's incongruous with. So
Okay.
I need,
Well, thank you all. Let's get another poem
Can I
from the
add
cup. Oh,
something?
Lila's here. Yes, Lila, please.
Sorry, I think you said my name earlier, so I was like, I
Yes,
want to
it's
think
true.
about
You
it.
yeah, and you've done it.
And I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, I guess you can't really escape who you are. So once you confront yourself, you might as well do the things that you love in excess because that's who you are.
Yay.
But it's eating termites.
Exactly. No, I know. I was
It's also doing a
Oh, wait, but I'm sure they eat termites
doing
too.
a really
Yes,
good
they eat many
job
things.
of
We have
excess.
to say, I mean, it's probably an reflection of it's a human. Like anteaters don't look in the mirror, and people do. I mean, like it's talking about a person that it's consumerism. It's like about a person slurping up greedily 50 billion things. Like people. It could be like really. What's the and it's an allegory, for a person. Rampant consumerism. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about building on what Sophia said, that looking at oneself in the mirror as a human could be perplexing, confusing, upsetting, disgruntling, and so on. And then a response could be overconsumption, right? I mean, you said that in different words, same thing.
Drew Gardner has just shown up. Yay, Drew Gardner. So let's get another poem from the cup, and we'll see where we go with that.
Jail poems.
Okay, Dave, would you go to Jail Poems and pick one and read it? And we'll put it into the record.
Sure. I'll pick the first one on the page, which is number 3. In a universe of cells, who is not in jail? Jailers. In a world of hospitals, who is not sick? doctors. A golden sardine is swimming in my head. Oh, we know some things, man, about some things, like jazz and jails and God. Saturday is a good day to go to jail.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's ask. Uh, Drew Gardner.
He can come up here.
Yeah, we can get him a mic, or if there's another chair,
to
you
see
can
the
come and sit
poem.
next to Leanne.
Okay.
There's a chair right there.
Just
Okay.
need the poems.
Drew Gardner, Sophia DuRose, E.B., and Dave Poplar, who just suggested it. So we'll give Drew a chance to catch his breath. So we'll go to Sophia DuRose. You want to say something about that particular jail poem?
Yeah, okay. So what strikes me most this time around in this particular context is the first and last line of this section: in a universe of cells, who is not in jail. So there's a suggestion that we're all imprisoned by something. And the last line, Saturday is a good day to go to jail. The implication is you have all weekend to stay in there. So like,
you're gonna get fed 3 square meals.
yeah. So it's making me think that like in our world, in the society in which we have to exist in, it's better to be in a place that is like in actual jail, actually locked up, where your basic needs are provided or should be like provided: food, a roof over your head, instead of being imprisoned by the something else of the universe.
Drew, your thoughts? You showed up, you get a mic, you get a poem.
Well, what I would say is that dichotomies can be a good way to draw the reader into the world of the poem. Kaufman's good at that, especially good at keeping a sense of humor when talking about social dichotomies or social power imbalances. This is, with the light touch of this, I would say that, yeah. And the fact that he's drawing in this sense of opposites together of essentially he's talking about a fairly large power dichotomy in the society, but doing it in a fairly lighthearted way.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Drew. Fantastic. E.B., do you have some thoughts on this? I know you're looking at the poem on your phone. That's great.
I feel like my thoughts are very disorganized.
That's
but
okay.
Maybe that's good for this. So my first reading, so having the line about hospitals and doctors right after the one about cells, as my immediate thought is that this gel cells, but also the cells that everyone is made of. And it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting image that everything is divided into the idea of like dividing everything into smaller units. And
That's
trying to know.
great.
Yeah. My other thought is that the line about knowing some things, I feel like they listed jazz and God, which I feel like are probably two of the things that I feel like I don't know much about. And it's an odd sort of irony there.
That's great. Yeah. Dave, what's so cool is the use of the word man, which is both referring to, human beings in the antique way that it was gendered, but also man. Hey, man. So, this is 1960. He's writing, or 59 and 60. He's writing these poems. He's in San Francisco, but then he moves to New York, and that was such a bad move. And so he was caught up in the mental health system, which is a generous phrase for it. And also suffered at the hands of electric shock and all kinds of bad shit that got forced upon him. This is really scarily anticipatory of that, because when you go to the jail for the weekend, presumably because he got drunk again and he was out on the street, and the doctors come to check on to see who's really in such bad mental state that they throw them in the state hospital from the jails. So he's speaking to the doctor. Doctors, A golden sardine is swimming in my head. That is definitely the wrong answer to a question, trying to ascertain whether you were either a poet or insane or both because you're a beat. And then O with the poetic O, not OH. Oh, we know some things, man, about some things. That is just so good. That's such a feisty thing he's doing. Dave Poplar, your thought on this, and then maybe we'll go to the stream and see who's in the stream talking about this.
What impresses me most is the first line, and I think maybe I'm getting this impression from the rest of the poem in general too, but in a universe of cells, who was not in jail, jailers, it just conveys to me when you're processed, when you become an inmate, how you're basically robbed of your identity, you're systematized, you're put in this system, and everything about you that is unique and individual is sort of stripped away, and you're just thought of, treated as just a thing, another cog, another unit, and it's depressing and bleak, and that's the feeling this really seems to convey to me in a stark personal way.
Beautiful, thank you. Let's see what folks are saying here. Sophia, do you have some things?
Hannah Linden said something very similar to what Evie was pointing out, that cells make me think of bodily cells too, and we're all imprisoned by bodies too. So the universe of cells as a body, thinking about that connection.
Mm-hmm. Has Zach been commenting further?
Zach did send another comment.
Okay, good. Was it technical? Tech help kind of comment?
No, he was commenting about the anteater. He said the anteater is unconcerned with its weight.
Oh, nice. Not on a diet, that anteater. Great. All right, let's do one more from the cup, and then we're going to go around to everyone for quick final thoughts because, it's happening. It's amazing. Oh, by the way, Lainey, hold that thought for a second. I simply wanted to quote a two-line part of Jail Poems just because it's so fantastic. Things are moving around on my machine. Yes. Number 19. Sitting here writing things on paper instead of sticking the pencil into the air. I've never understood that gesture. He's definitely writing, which we want him to do because these poems were written in jail, and so he's probably writing the very poem that he's talking about. But sticking the pencil in the air just feels like, help me, you writers. There's something about just there's something about not writing, just thinking that the pencil is not doing any good when it's just in the air. Right. I just love that. He's in there doing stuff. Okay. Or maybe he's writing on the wall, but yeah, okay. Lainey, you want to pick a poem? Rogue State. I think we should get the audio. Is that possible? Your mic is not working? Well, if we do mine, is that going to throw everything off? Okay, bring your laptop to because if I use my laptop, because I'm in the Zoom, it'll screw things up. Yes, Chris? You really want me to do it? Not on mine. Okay. Here we go. Here's Ann Waldman. This is a favorite of Modpo's. And Sophia's. There it is. Okay. This was performed at the writer's house. I'll get it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
It's not a touch screen.
Oh, God. That's what I was trying to do. Sorry, we're going to start over.
I'm in a rogue state, honey, getting unpredictable and strange. Just a rogue state itching to test my Harridan bardic range. Ours for the radical ecologist on the fringe. Oh, is the opportunity to make first war powers cringe. G is the genius hacker under alien skin. You better watch out, every female activist akin. I'm in a rogue state, Papa Ashcroft. Don't tell me what to do. Your rules I'm the lady of misrule. Wild card they call me, imperious, sultry, dark. Loose cannon on the gunnel. This literary cannon's got a subversive quark. National Missile Defense System got nothing on me. I can pierce through the Genome Project with a cyborg's vitality. Gated communities tremble. I'm a coming through the door. Rogue states a state won't humble. Call her witch. Call her whore. I'm in a rogue state, bushy. Don't tell me what to do. Your rules aren't my rules, 'cause I'm the lady of misrule. Rogue state, rogue state, rogue state.
The audience at the Kelly Writers House. Cheering Ann Waldman. Okay, we are getting toward time of final words, and we want everybody to have a chance to do it. So I'm going to ask just a couple of people to comment on this remarkable piece. So how about Leanne and Erica and Drew?
Well, I love that it's an acrostic with rogue state and also a blues. And I think she got a lot of that from Ginsberg too. That Ginsberg doing his blues, and it just has, it's a melding of a lot of different, and a rant, and a spell, and it's a lot of different forms, and she just puts it together and performs it. Yeah.
Thank you, Erica.
I also love the way that she updates the poem, and it feels like perhaps it's for an update. Like I remember the time I heard her do it was at Belladonna, and then it was Bush. And then there are other versions where the names in the poem change. And I think that that's a testament to the importance of poetry, particularly as, as an instrument for protest.
Yeah. I mean, John Ashcroft was the Attorney General, and he was tame compared to what we've got now. So she definitely needs to adapt and does adapt, exactly. Okay. Yes, Drew, do you have a mic?
Well, I think that definitely that poem and that performance definitely proves that there's room for vaudeville style still in poetry, that can be effective to be outrageously campy, and there's also a quality I like to that performance where this is a thing that you would see in, say, The Fugs, where there's a amateurish quality to the performance which is absolutely tripled down on. Punk people do this sometimes too. This is sometimes can be a great way to triple down on a poem by don't worry about how good it sounds or if it's professional sounding, just absolutely commit to the bit and it gets the message across.
You've studied a lot of these forms. The Fugs, for instance, I'm sure are part of your repertoire. Tuli Kupferberg, who is maybe in Modpo via a poem talk that we did with the late Pierre Joris and some others.
Yeah, Tuli Kupferberg is a great example of that poetic stretched out in many different directions.
Yes, and we highly recommend Tuli and the Fugs. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go to final words, and we're going to give everybody who's here and in our Zoom, the TAs, a chance to say something final or not final about the Beats or about this week or about Modpo, where you're at this point. Really anything once you get the mic. So let's see if we can do this. We actually are okay if each person takes sort of one comment. So I'm going to have to start somewhere. So why don't we start with Erica, and we'll put Shoshana on deck.
Thanks. I'll use my final word to encourage folks to check out the Robin Glaser poem from Modpo Plus. He's amazing. And
is that the one about the bird in the house?
You got it.
Oh, it's such a good poem.
Such a good poem. And I have office hours at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Yay, Erica. By the way, guess what?
What?
We love you,
I love you
Erica. What'd you say? Oh, here comes
Love
the
you
heart.
too.
Okay, cool. All right, Shoshana is up and Lila is on deck.
It's so great to be here. Thank you so much for coming to New York. I came late, so I don't know if this was shouted out before I got here, but I've been really into, or starting to get into the Diane DePrima revolutionary letters. So I just wanted to shout out those in ModPo Plus
Yay.
this
And
week.
another way in which the great Lainey Brown has had an influence on ModPo, because you had us do a poem talk, and then we went from there.
Well, because how could she not be in Beat Week?
Well, that's exactly what
So
you
we
said,
fixed it,
as I
yeah.
recall.
Yep.
Thank you, Shoshana. And you have been with ModPo since either the beginning or close to it. 2013, the second year. Oh my gosh. Fantastic. Okay. Lila is up and Wendy will be on deck.
It feels so good to be back. I really missed you guys.
We miss you.
We
you
miss
know? It
you,
hasn't been
Lila.
that long,
Come back
actually.
to
I know,
Philly.
but it's felt like, I don't know, too long, way too long. So yeah, I love you guys and I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lila. The feeling is absolutely mutual. Okay, so we're going to go to Wendy, followed by Dave Poplar.
So I'll give a shout out. James Byrne is a poet and also just an amazing activist, and he has a collection called Bones Will Crow, 15
Can you hold the mic a little closer?
15 contemporary Burmese poets, and it's a first translation into English of Burmese poetry.
And say the name again.
James Byrne is the
How do you,
poet.
can you spell it and tell us the press? too?
Sure, Byrne, and it's Bones Will Crow, 15 contemporary Burmese poets, and he worked with the poets on the translations. And it's just amazing because so much of ModPo is sort of where these poets came to their current poetry. It's
Yes.
actually quite phenomenal.
Thank you,
Who's
Wendy.
next?
Yes.
Zelda.
We're going to go to Dave Poplar, followed by Kate. And cats have an unerring way of finding the person who's allergic to them. Dave?
I was going to say, I just wanted to encourage everybody, or I wanted to ballyhoo office hours for everybody to just check out as many office hours as they can. But I also want to say, I really like the ModPo Road show here, and I want to thank everybody for showing up. And it's great to see other people in the live audience with the webcast, and be cool if we could do more of these. It was really cool, and thanks to everybody for showing up.
Thank you, Dave. I'm really glad that you said that. It's taken a lot of work doing the curation of the whole trip, which included a bunch of ModPo Plus videos, and that's Lainey Brown, Lainey Brown, Lainey Brown. Lainey Brown, the
Thanks,
great,
Al.
really unbelievable, the choices of the poems. Drew was part of it. It was pretty amazing, and so thank you. And also, I mean, it has to be said that whenever we do this, it's a lot harder for Chris and Zach and Magda. It's a lot of equipment. It's a little harder to go to Edinburgh or London with all the stuff. This is a little easier, but still a lot of work, and a lot of things can go wrong. And people, far-flung people who care about massive open online courses, they marvel at the interactive webcast that we do. There really is, it's really quite a Rube Goldberg construction. You'd think that it would all be kind of easy and automated, but these guys have 6 different, almost non-technical ways of solving problems, like holding up a fucking laptop to the microphone to put the sound, hers,
That
not
was
mine.
My janky fix. They would have come up with a better
Well,
one.
we just have janky, the janky fixes is all we do. Anyway, this is not a very positive way of thanking them, because they are amazing. And Chris likes nothing better than to be like essentially a MOOC DJ is what he, look at him, he looks like a DJ. He totally looks like a DJ. Can we get the camera on him? Is that possible, Magda?
Can you turn it on?
No, it's not possible? Okay, forget it. All right, good. He comes. Wait, can we get that on him? Okay, there you go. It's a close-up. That is a serious close-up. Oh, my goodness. Okay. And Zach Gardner, we love you so much. We miss you, and we'll be back in Philly to hang out with you pretty soon. Okay, I forgot who was on deck. I think Kate was on deck, and that'll be followed by Sophia DeRose.
I am so envious seeing you all sitting there at Torn Page, and I wish I could just elbow in between Lainey and Liam.
You can, just elbow in.
Get on the road. It's not hard. How many hours? Meet us. I'll meet you at a bar at, let's see, you're in Providence, midnight.
I'll be there in 3.5.
No, 3.5 hours. Meet you at midnight. You name the bar. I'm there.
Angel-headed hipsters.
I'll buy.
I'll see you there.
Okay.
But it's so appropriate that Beat Week is happening at Torn Page because so much amazing performance has taken place in that room. And the Beats really brought the body and the performance and the breath and the drugs and the fast cars and the physical, palpable qualities of poetry into the work.
There are no drugs at Torn Page, I'll have you know. None. Zero.
Yeah. Action by saying Allen Ginsberg stayed here. He came by. I don't know if he slept here, but he came by. Yeah.
That's great.
Yes.
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 Thank you, Drew. So when it comes time for Leanne to do a final word, you should do your own final word, but I want you to say a little bit about Torn Page so people know about it, including putting out the website and all that stuff. But we're going to go to Sophia next, and Drew is on deck.
My final word is just thank you to Leanne for having us here. This is my first time here, and it's wonderful, and I appreciate the hospitality. And also thank you to Lainey, who coordinated most of this entire trip, which has been awesome. And thank you to Chris and Magda, who have done so much work that is invisible, and they deserve all the kudos. So, yeah.
Yay. Okay, so we're going to go to Drew, and Sharon is on deck.
Yeah, I would just say that in poetry, it's a little bit seems sometimes a little like stand-up comedy, where it's one isolated, atomized person alone on a stage with a microphone, and there is a lot of that. But I also like team effort, and what I find cool about this is that there's a lot of team effort in it, and I applaud that.
Yay, and we're glad you've been part of it this trip. So we'll do that again. I think Sharon is up, and let's put EB on deck.
Well, I love being aware again of the commitment to speaking out politically that's in the Beats, the democratic nature of the Beats, including all these people without voices, like people who've been in institutions or people who are incarcerated, which I know a lot of people worked with, and bringing poetry so it's not just one person on the stage, but many people. And having seen Allen Ginsberg in the New Year's Day reading many times, and I was living here in the 90s, he wasn't, long for this world then. I just think that Mod Po is a continuation of poetry for everybody, which is great.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thanks for coming tonight. And EB is up, and Leanne is on deck.
Yeah, so I just want to say I'm really glad I came to this tonight. I think I mentioned at the beginning I hadn't really been having too much time for Mod Po this year, but I'll admit that especially Beat Week I've kind of struggled with in the past, and I hadn't made it past the first couple of poems until earlier today. And then I was really excited to discover that there were actually a bunch of women poets down towards the bottom of the syllabus for Beat Week, and I really enjoyed a lot of those. I kind of want to go back to the Anteater. I had the one thought that I had about that is it's my initial association with an anteater is that it's always the first thing in an alphabet book, either that or an aardvark. So I feel like all I know about an anteater is that it starts with A and that it eats ants. And I just kind of love that, reducing it to one very specific thing in a list.
Thank you, EB. I'm so glad you came, and so glad that coming to this event got you to read some poems today, which is just so. We live for nothing else. We put
I
this
didn't want to
course
show up
together.
unprepared.
What's that?
I didn't want to show up unprepared.
No, it's just great. I mean, people everywhere take this seriously enough so that they want to read poems. I mean, that's the sort of basic motive that we have, is just to generate interest in poetry. It could be no simpler than that. As we turn to Leanne, I would love for Sophia to just look and see if there's some proper farewells or final words or just people we love who are saying things.
Oh, well, Suzanne asked us to come to the Carolinas, so I told Suzanne that I will actually be in North Carolina tomorrow. So we've been
You're going.
chatting.
You could. Yeah. Okay. Well, in my mind, I'm going to Carolina.
Yeah.
That's about it right at the moment. Yeah. But you are going to Carolina. I wonder where. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't think we're very close.
Okay.
Where I'll be.
Yeah.
But.
You're going to Hendersonville. Any other?
In case anyone wants to know where I'll be tomorrow.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Hendersonville.
Okay.
And then just.
What? There are people there. They're
I know.
saying
Well,
things.
it's long conversations, and they build, and we had some like conversation about rogue state and this idea of going rogue and the political context of a rogue state versus like the playfulness and of the recording of rogue state, and then some clarification about the spelling of Diane de Prima.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Rogue State, when she wrote that poem, Rogue State was North Korea and Libya. Now there's some states close to home that, fit the category, which is frightening to think about. Leanne Brown.
Well, I just want to start by seconding the idea of going to North Carolina, because that's where I'm from. And I think I grew up as a poet I became a poet by hearing poetry sung in my church and learning that Emily Dickinson had that ballad meter and just this oral transmission. And that's one reason when I started the parlors here, I wanted to not just have another reading series, which I go to all the time, all over the place, but to have a place where poetry can be delivered in new ways. Like we did, Jerome Rothenberg did a play. We've had a lot of music with poetry in here. So like just different delivery systems for poetry. So I'm really glad that everybody's here delivering to each other the surrealism of the golden sardine in our minds. I hope that can keep swimming like the chandelier in the middle of the ceiling. What else? Tornpage.org is our website, tornpage.org, named after Rip Torn and Geraldine Page, who got this house in the 60s. And it's been a center for poets and actors and all kinds of crazy artists since then. What else? Day of the Dead, November 2nd, Sunday, November 2nd. If you're in New York, please come by. We're going to have a poetry altar, and we're going to read poetry to each other, especially of people who have passed in the past year, but anybody is welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for this. And thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Tony.
And Magda, once you started talking about the swimming chandelier, we had a cameo of the chandelier in the camera view. Just thought I would say that. Lainey Brown, second to last. Lainey Brown, I don't think I missed anybody. Did I? No, Emma. Did I miss Emma? Yes, Emma, would you give us a final thought? I'm so sorry.
I'm not prepared. My mind just keeps going to Fire Spinner. So I'm thinking, let's ask DiNardo to come perform at the Kelly Writers' House.
Take
because
a note,
He wants to take this on the road, and he wants Fire Spitter out there, the band, and Jane's legacy. So let's do that.
It's a great idea.
Lainey is taking more than a mental note
I can
on
ask.
that.
He lives in my building.
Wow. Amazing.
All right. We don't forget things like this, so thank you, Emma. Lainey Brown. Final word, final thought.
I want to ballyhoo my office hours Mondays at 5 p.m. It's so much fun. Come. I want to ballyhoo week 7 because here we are in New York, and next week is New York School. So get ready for some of our favorite Bernadette Mayer, Alice Notley, Frank O'Hara, Barbara Guest, James Schuyler, and John Ashbery, and more. And also, I just want to say thank yous. I'm feeling really grateful for the team and Sophia and Al and Magda and Chris and Zach, and what a pleasure it is to be working all together. And I also want to especially thank my dear friend Leanne Brown for making this space available tonight for ModPo and making this space available all the time for all kinds of amazing things. And I'm so appreciative of everything that you are doing. So thank you.
Thanks, Lainey. And, when you talked about week 7, New York School, I was watching Erica Kaufman's expression, which got very bright. Because while Erica is really into, I think every week is Erica's favorite week, but Stein is like right up there because Stein is so important to Erica's pedagogy. But the New York School is kind of your roots, I think. And so I'm glad that you'll be around
Ann
for that.
Waldman is here a lot, too. She's been in the house a lot lately. Yeah.
All right, my final word is really, other than to thank everybody, is to bring into focus one of the beats in ModPo Plus. She's not well known. Her name is Elise Cowen, Cowen. She was a friend of Allen Ginsberg, and for a while she was his assistant copy proof. She did some menial editorial work for Allen, although the relationship was not one of, do menial work for me. But this was much criticized by the people in the community that Elise had that. And she had a lot of struggles. Her biography is very sad and interesting. She had struggles with getting away from the power of her parents, and she was a beat woman, and just things came tough. But there's been recently a book of her poems, and we have one of her poems. We have 2 of her poems in ModPo Plus, and I recommend them to you. I'm going to read one of them. It's called Emily, and it's about Emily Dickinson. And I really like it in a ModPo sense because it uses the beat. Elise Cowen is a beat, using beat aesthetic to defy the binarism of Whitman and Dickinson, because Whitman has that line up to Ginsberg and to the beats. But here is Elise Cowen, marginalized, at least aesthetically and maybe socially in her time, among the beats, picking out Emily as her inspiration in this poem. So here it is. Emily. Emily, come summer, you'll take off your jeweled bees which sting me. I'll strip my stinking jeans hand in hand. We'll run outside, look straight at the sun a second time, and get tan. That's Elise Cowen. Such a feisty poem. I totally love it. Thank you, Dave. What's the score, Dave?
It's 1-0 Phillies, middle of the 7th.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Dave. Kate, thank you. Please get out of that creepy attic space soon before anteaters start going after the termites up there. Eric, that's quite a vision. Erica Kaufman, we do love you so. Leanne, thank you again. Sophia, you're the best. You're rocking those Bernadette braids today. Yay. Lainey, Magda, Chris, and everybody who came, thank you so much. Lila and I should not know this yet, but Lila and I are going to go out for a drink. And so if you want to join us, please just come along. Not you people in wherever you are, but the people here. So we're just so happy you came. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week back in Philadelphia. Bye-bye.